How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to talk to you about a few very important things. One, we're going to take a look at the market. Two, we have to take a look at a big trend that we might see here in the stock market soon, at least in my opinion. We also have to take a look at Luna and something that's going to happen here probably in the next 10 days. And it might leave a lot of investors very angry because they're basically not helping one specific group of investors. Now, I was about to post this video when I had to add this in because this is massive, and I'll talk more about it towards the end of the video. But supposedly, DOGE dissolved Terraform Labs days before the crash. Again, stay through to the end because I'm going to talk about it in the second half of the video. And then we're also going to take a look at one of the largest lies in crypto right now, and it just came out yesterday. And I think we have to dig a little bit deeper into it. If you guys don't mind hitting the like button and subscribe button, I appreciate that. There is a link to Margex underneath the video. I'll talk more about that in a bit, but just know you can get some free crypto if you try out the platform. So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything's down today, right? The whole crypto market's down about 3%, which honestly isn't too bad considering that the stock market is down much more. The Nasdaq's down about 5% today. Target, defensive stock, is down 25%. You can see too, everyone pretty much knew exactly what they were going to do at Target when the day started. It really hasn't fluctuated too much. Like after their earnings came out this morning and they missed on earnings, they fell and they've pretty much just stayed there all day. This is an easier company to price or to value than something like Tesla or Google. The interesting thing is though, they had their earnings hit pretty hard because of just the fact that they had some problems with supply chain. They've had some problems with inflation. So that really cuts into their bottom line. Now, what's interesting is we have companies like Alphabet or Amazon, some of these tech companies, they have really high profit margins. So when we see that U-turn, I think, from the Fed, and they're saying, hey, we're not going to raise as aggressively, or maybe we're just going to stop raising altogether, you have to realize these companies are at very high valuations because they're defensive. We also have to realize too, they're not growing and they actually cost more on a price to earnings than a lot of the tech companies. So these have high profit margins, they're growing much faster and are priced cheaper than the likes of Target and Walmart, these types of companies, Costco. Now, this is just a generalization, but I think we could see some money flow back into tech stocks, and then it would be interesting to see what happens to crypto after that. Now, one crypto that's just been beaten down so much that we've been talking about recently is Luna. This is coming from Mike Novogratz, CEO over at Galaxy Digital, and he gives a 3-page report on what happened to Luna and what are some core tenets of investing. And I think this is important to remember. Keep a diversified portfolio, take profits along the way, have a risk management framework, and understand that all investments happen in a macro framework. Now, some people are giving him a hard time because he points to the fact that a lot of this might be due to the macro framework, or at least that is a part of it. However, it doesn't seem like Luna and UST crashed because of inflation or anything like that. There was a coordinated attack, and I don't think it's really tied to the macro environment too much. But I think his core tenets still are really important. Keep a diversified portfolio, take profits along the way, have a risk management framework, especially when we are in an up market. It's easy to try to fix this now because the market's down, or maybe you lost money and now you're a little bit more defensive, but it's really hard when you're trying, or when you're getting a little bit greedier, to have risk management framework and to keep a diversified portfolio. It's really hard to do that and to take profits along the way, but I think that is something that you need to do. Now, maybe a risk management framework is just investing in lower risk cryptos. Maybe it's keeping money on the sidelines. Maybe it's even hedging on the way down or hedging on the way up, which is why I want to talk to you about Margex. So I've made my strategy very clear for this market. I want to buy and hold for the long term, and I want to hold the best projects. But I realize some people want to hedge their portfolios in case the market falls down further, or we might hit a support and they might want to long their portfolios, which is why I want to talk to you today about Margex. They're one of the most user-friendly and easy-to-use interfaces for beginners and experienced traders. It only takes about 5 minutes to set up, and you can start longing and shorting Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, ADA, Solana, and more. So you can short and long with 100x leverage. Of course, you should always do your due diligence. Only invest money that you're willing to lose, especially when you're longing and shorting. I did want to bring this up though because it is great for this type of trading. There's a link to this underneath the video. When you sign up, you can get a $50 bonus to pay for your transaction fees when you deposit 0.004 Bitcoin, which is barely anything now with the price of Bitcoin falling down, and you can get your additional $50 bonus. Thanks to Margex for sponsoring this video, and let's keep going. So I do think it is nice to see him actually create a little bit of a report and something that people can read through to what happened with their investment and their thinking on it. Now, there's going to be a lot of change here soon with Terra. There is the new proposal for what's going to happen to Luna, and it's very similar to what we looked at just a few days ago, with some people getting some of the new chain or getting some of the new tokens. And this will be dropped to a variety of different people, depending on when you sold and what you sold. The thing that I noticed here is, though, that if you held a UST and you sold out before you get these tokens, it really doesn't give you anything. We need some pre-attack UST holders here. So if you lost money and maybe you got depegged down to 10 cents, they're really not giving you anything. Now, I think this really needs to change, and I understand they want to reward people that have held throughout this whole thing, but the fact is a lot of us have been hurt from this investment. And if they really want to make people whole, or if they want to build their community back, because they will lose a lot, they've already lost a lot of people, I think they should try to airdrop some of these tokens to these types of investors, because otherwise you could be left out and you could still lose 95% of your investment. So I think they really should focus on this. Now, it seems like there's a lot of yeses for this vote. Now, this is interesting because we just saw something very similar just a day ago, and there were very few people in agreement, but now 85% of people are saying yes to this. They have a certain threshold that they need to reach, though, before this goes through. You can see some people with a very large voting power have not voted yet, like Orion.money. You can see Doquan is kind of trying to push for this hard fork, and it will be interesting. A lot of people just want some kind of burn mechanism instead of a hard fork. I personally would support that more. One other thing that we should talk about too is the Terraform Labs legal team has quit, or at least 3 of them have. I talked to my dad, who's a lawyer, about this, and I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but essentially there's probably something going on, and he said that a lot of the time legal teams are the first people to jump ship if they're actually in the company. If they're jumping ship first, they're the in-house team, they probably don't want to be held liable for whatever happened. Now, of course, that's not legal advice. That's me speaking about it. That's not the exact wording. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually falls out here and what happens over time. So what were the lawyers protecting themselves from? This is the part that I had to go back and add in because I just saw this. Doquan dissolved Terraform Labs days before the UST and Luna crash. Now, maybe this is just coincidence, but it seems unlikely. So these are some leaked documents that show Terraform Labs had been dissolved on April 30, just before the crash. Doquan, the founder of Terraform Labs, is under heat again. Leaked documents circling the internet have revealed that the founder has dissolved the infamous Terraform Labs days before the native token Terra Luna crashed. As per information revealed in the official documents obtained by Digital Today, Terraform Labs, which is based in South Korea, has decided to liquidate itself during its general shareholders meeting on April 30. According to the record, Busan branch was liquidated on May 4 and the Seoul branch on May 5, the liquidator's name being Kwon Do-hyung, the real name of Terraform Labs CEO Doquan. According to CoinMarketCap data, it's traded down, Terra Luna has traded down 4.3% at the time of this post. Now, I think this is very unlikely that this all happened around the same time and it was not correlated or is not related. I don't really know what this means. It seems like something shady. I mean, maybe he was trying to get away from it all. Maybe he was trying to decrease liability. Maybe he knew that this was going to happen. Maybe he has no idea. Maybe he had no idea this was going to happen in the future and this was just a coincidence. It seems unlikely, though. It seems unlikely that they would dissolve it right before the crash. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Now we talk about the biggest lie in crypto. And I hit on this yesterday, but I've been thinking about it more. So Bitcoin mining is back in China. We had them ban crypto mining last summer. This is not the first time they've done it. They've done it many times. What's interesting is the mining did fall to zero essentially for several months and then came back. Now, at first I thought, okay, people just want to mine so much that they are willing to stay and do it illegally. But then after thinking, why would someone want to stay? Like, if they were stopping them from mining, would it be harder to continuously mine Bitcoin and do that illegally than it would be to just try to get out of the country with your Bitcoin mining equipment? I don't know if anyone really wants to stay in China that much that they would do that illegally, because the thing is, if you do that illegally, you have to continuously keep it hidden for a long time. Like maybe years, right? Until the miners die, if you don't buy any more miners. So 5 years or something like that. As opposed to just trying to smuggle them somewhere else. And that might take, a few days to do. It seems much more difficult to stay there and stay hidden than it does to get out. Which I think is fascinating, because maybe it's not the general public that's mining. Maybe it's the government or some kind of someone in power that's actually mining. Maybe they're trying to gain more reserves and they're trying to make it more hidden than if they were just to go buy in the open market. This is still just stuff that I'm thinking through, but that would make sense, especially with Russia accepting Bitcoin as payment for oil. It would be interesting because there is a significant amount of hash rate back in China now. It's like 20%. And it's very difficult to get enough Bitcoin to trade for oil. But maybe this is their plan. Maybe they're building up a reserve from mining, and this is how they're going to get enough to make it substantial and try to get away from the US dollar. And this is kind of a conspiracy theory, but I think that would make sense. If they're making smaller buys, they also have a bunch of miners. A lot of the miners come from China anyway, so they could keep it kind of hush-hush. It seems really interesting to me. It seems like that could definitely be a possibility, and seems much more likely than people just want to stay there so bad to continuously mine. Seems like they would just leave and mine somewhere else. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Let me know what you think about the new Terra proposal that doesn't really help out any pre-attack UST holders. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Definitely check out Margex underneath the video. Bye.